Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us. We want to welcome you guys here this evening as we have a conversation today of the culture of our indigenous people. Please remember to share, like, conversation with Grandma Polly on Facebook and YouTube. Share and like us on Facebook and YouTube. And remember to subscribe and follow us and share it. And we'll be right back. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening again, and welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. Did you know that the largest concentration of Native American Indians east of the Mississippi are in North Carolina? Stay tuned as we introduce our guest tonight, Miss Ramona Moore Big Eagle.
Tonight's guest, Ramona Moore Big Eagle, is an internationally renowned TEDx speaker, storyteller, oral historian, and legend keeper. In addition, she is also an environmental educator and master naturalist. Ramona has served on the Tribal Council and in various other capacities for the Tuscarora Nation of North Carolina. She earned a Master of Education degree from East Tennessee State University in Reading and Storytelling and a Bachelor of Art degree in Psychology from Catawba College. Ramona travels throughout the United States and Canada as a motivational speaker, cultural educator, consultant, workshop facilitator, and storyteller. Her workshops and programs of American Indian culture and history are delivered through the art of storytelling, authentic artifacts, music, drumming, dance, and crafts. And she's been educating and empowering audiences of all ages since 1978. When presenting American Indian culture, Ramona erases stereotypes and myths concerning the culture and provides programming that covers aspects of daily life in lodging, clothing, survival techniques, artifacts, foods, art, dance, stories, language, music, and beliefs from the past to the present. Ramona Moore Big Eagle is president and CEO of Dare to Soar Enterprises, a company she started in 1991. The company's purpose is to inspire and empower people of all ages in all walks of life to become even more effective communicators through the power of storytelling. Learn more and support Ramona's journey by visiting her website at www.ramonamorebigeagle.com. So without further ado, Conversations with Grandma Polly friends and followers, let's give a warm welcome to our very special guest, Ramona Moore Big Eagle.
Hello, Ramona, and welcome. Welcome to Conversations with Grandma Polly. We're excited to have you here this evening. You know, of course, Monday we celebrated the National Indigenous People Day, and over the years, I've gotten to know you so well. And we decided we just wanted to bring you in this evening to see, share some of your story, give us some information on your culture, because you do so many things. And we just want to welcome you again. And remember, folks, like, share, and follow. Y'all, let's welcome Ramona Moore Big Eagle.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're more than happy to have you here. When you speak to me about your culture and some of the things that you do, the stories are so interesting. Um, it just makes me want to hear more and more and more and more. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and your culture?
I'll be glad to, Grandma Polly. First off, I was born into this. I didn't choose it, it chose me. I was born into this culture. My mother is from the Tuscarora Nation. My father is passed, but he was from the Cherokee Nation. So I grew up really at a time when it wasn't popular to be Native. And, people had a lot of shame and embarrassment about being Native just because of the times that we were in. I grew up during Jimbo, so it was a hard time for people of color, period, whether they were red or whether they were black. So I really came into my own when I went off to college because, you go off to college and that's when you're free to be who you are. And so I was free to be the native person that I was when I went to college. And I remember when I went to Carson Newman College, there were only two native girls there, Cindy Kent from the Ute Nation and me from the Tuscarora Nation. And I really, at that time, I knew more about my Cherokee side from my dad than I did about the Tuscarora side from my mom. But so, as a result, in raising my children, my three children, I raised them in the culture because I didn't want them to have the same shame and everything that my grandparents had in being Native. So I raised my children to be proud Native children that have dual ancestry, Black and Native American. So it's just been a wonderful opportunity to see my children grow and blossom. In fact, a lot of the pictures that you showed, the young lady, that was my daughter. She's a fancy dancer. She's even danced in Italy. Amber Saunders. You can see her on her Facebook page, Dancing More, Amber Moore Saunders. And then you had a picture of all of us dressed in our regalia. Go ahead.
Yes, we're going to get to that. But when I hear you use the term fancy dancer, could you elaborate on that and explain to us exactly what that term means?
All right, so within our culture, we have different dances, with different names. We have grass dancers for the men, traditional dancers. We have jingle dress dancers for the women, fancy dancers, and we have traditional dancers. I am a traditional dancer. I have a daughter, Stephanie Moore, that's also a traditional dancer. And then I have another daughter, Amber Moore Saunders, that is a fancy dancer. Each dance has its own steps, it has its own story behind the dance, and its own particular regalia that is worn for the dance. So you saw a picture of my daughter with bright colors on as a fancy dancer, and her dance is called Fancy Dancer because it's a little bit more fancy than what the traditional dance is, which was a slow, graceful walk around the arena counterclockwise. Her dance mimics that of a butterfly, and it has a story that goes behind it, which I'll be glad to share if you'd like. But it mimics the flight of butterflies.
Okay, see, you gave me a couple of other things, to think about. Because growing up, you saw stuff like this on TV and you see stuff like this in movies and stuff. But I didn't know that there were different styles that carried different names that were assigned to different genders. Because you just explained, some of it was assigned to women and some were assigned to the males. and it's just interesting. It's a unique art, and it's an unfamiliar art to us who are not familiar with the culture. And I hear you speak about, you and I have talked about the one where you do with the drums, where you move counterclockwise. Now, is it just gender or is it age also? As they get to a certain age, do the dance assignments change?
That's a good question. Basically, all ages do all the dances, but I will tell you that the dance that my daughter does as a fancy dancer, there are not too many women our age that are doing that dance. It takes a lot of stamina, a lot of leg work, and usually it's the young people that do the dance. Most of the women my age are traditional dancers, and we do the slow, graceful walk. Now, but the traditional dance isn't just for elders. My youngest child, Stephanie, she's a traditional dancer, and she's been a traditional dancer since she first started dancing. The dance actually calls out to you to know which one you fit into. Both my daughters started out as traditional dancers, but my daughter felt a calling from the fancy dance to be her dance, and the other daughter, Stephanie, felt a calling from that dance to be a traditional dance.
Okay, and we're going to back up a little bit because I want you to explain that butterfly. That's the one that Amber is doing, right?
Right, that's correct.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit more? I'm fascinated by these dances, just from what I've
Okay.
seen from the videos that you and your daughters have put out. It's just amazing. Could you explain that one to us, please?
Well, first off, as I said, all the dances have a story behind them, a meaning behind them. So the dance that Amber does, the fancy dance, the story behind that dance is that there was um, a young woman who was happily married, and one day war came to their village. So her husband went off to fight with the other braves and native warriors. And unfortunately, he didn't return from that battle. He was killed in battle. So his wife went into mourning, as any woman would losing her husband. She went into mourning and she closed herself off from everyone because her grief was so strong. And as she would walk off by herself into the forest, just, to be alone and to spend time with the Creator, everywhere she'd walk, she'd hear the Creator calling out to her. But she was so wrapped up in her grief that she closed herself off and she wouldn't even respond to the Creator. But he is so patient with us and so loving with us. He continued to sweetly and lovingly call her name. She could hear her name being called on every breath of air that came through in the forest where she was. When the leaves would fall, she could hear her name being called by the Creator. And after a while, she started opening herself up bit by bit to the Creator. And she opened herself up to Him. She heard more from Him. She listened more intently and she heard more from Him as far as how much He loved her and how much he longed to take that grief from her and that her time for mourning was over and she could, get back to the life of living, a life of being with others and caring for others, being cared for by others. So she slowly opened herself up. And as we all know, life is one big dance. So as she slowly opened herself up, she began to join that dance of life again. So that's the story that the dance is telling. And that's why when they first start, their shawl is closed around them because they've closed themselves off.
Hmm.
But as they hear the Creator calling them, they slowly open themselves up and then they start to dance. And they dance as a butterfly. And that's basically the story of the butterfly. It starts as a caterpillar, then it goes into the chrysalis, it closes itself up, And then as the creator says, okay, it's time for you to fly, they open up slowly. But surely they open, they emerge from being closed up, closed off, and they open up and they fly. And they fly here, there, everywhere in beautiful array of colors. And that's what the fancy dance is showing you.
And that's exactly what it looks like. And just like you said, stars closed up, and then I see in the videos where the arms are moving with the scarf all spread out. It is beautiful, and even with that, Ramona, I was sitting here thinking. I think I had sent you some information back during the fall. They were having a powwow here up in Kennesaw somewhere, and I could always remember you speaking of the powwows and different stuff like that. And my question is, for those of us who are not really familiar with the culture, when they're having these powwows, is it like a community event where anybody could go, or is it something that just closed off to where it's only for that culture?
I'm so glad you asked that question. First off, powwows take place in every state all during the month, all during the year. Powwows are a way of us celebrating our culture, and we gladly invite others to come. It's not just a Native American thing. We want others to come, other people to come, other cultures to come, so you can see what our culture is all about. So it's open to everyone. We invite you, we implore you to please come and get a taste of Native American culture for the day, for the weekend. You'll be able to immerse yourself within the culture. As far as the food goes, we have native food. You actually get to eat buffalo in some cases, buffalo burgers, venison deer burgers, fry bread, and chili. So you get to immerse yourself in the culture with the food. The drum is always beating at the tower at the powwows. You get to hear, and we call the drum the men and the drum that they are beating. That is all one thing. The drum that refers to not just the drum in the center, but it refers to the men that are sitting around the drum beating the drum. So you get to hear that throughout the powwow. You get to see the dances, the different regalia. All of us make our own regalia, and as we determine as far as colors and all like that. And there is no just pattern that you can go to the store and buy to make our regalia. The patterns are passed on through storytelling, oral tradition from one elder to their children, who then pass it on to their children. So you know how to make the regalia based on what you've seen and the stories that you've heard from the elders. So there's no, it's not like you can go to, the store, the cloth store, and get a pattern for a fancy outfit or a shawl or traditional regalia. It's all by word of mouth, oral tradition passed on from the elders to the young people, who then pass it on to their young people, and it goes on, that way. So yes, we love for you to come. You get to
That
hear storytelling at the powwows, and so it's a whole immersion of culture that you get to partake of, because it's storytelling, the food, the music, the dancing, the people and their regalia. And and it's all right to even ask if you can take a picture of someone, or if you can stand beside them, but always get permission. And I will point this out: you never touch anyone else's regalia, because that's actually a part of who they are. And it's on display publicly, but it's private at the same time as who they are. So you never just reach out and touch a necklace, or touch their feathers. You never do that. You always ask permission if you can take a picture with them or of them.
that's amazing. My mind went to when you were talking about the regalia and the way they're designed and how they're designed and the stories behind them. It kind of reminds me of the early days of our African American culture here, when the elderly people would take different pieces of clothing and make quilts. And those quilts would tell a story. A lot of us have gotten away from that, and it was a tradition even down through my grandmother. I never remember her buying quilts out of the store. Everything was handmade from pieces of clothes or a garment or something that, was around the house. And big respects up to that. I mean, the culture is so, to me, I'm fascinated by the colors
Mhm.
because everything I see, it is very colorful. And, when you're dealing with bright colors, it lifts the spirit. It makes you feel great. And I'm just fascinated by those colors. Ramona, all I can say is that's just amazing. But we're going to put a pin right there. Hold on for a second. Now, Ramona, I introduced Turtle Island because this is a book that you have written, and it tells a beautiful story. And I understand that in your culture, the place that, you know, Native Americans live, the oral tradition tells the story about how they came to live on Turtle Island. So I want you to tell us a little bit about Turtle Island because the story is awesome. Would you share that with the people for me, please?
I'll be glad to. But now, just because I'm sharing the story with you doesn't mean you shouldn't go to Amazon and buy my book. I'm just saying. All right. First off, this story is a traditional story from the Iroquois people. Each tribe, each nation of people had their own creation story. The story of our creation from the Dene people, you know them as the um, Navajo people, is different from the story of creation from the Iroquois people. And Tuscaroras are the Six Nation of the Iroquois. We're made up of the Mohawk, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, the Oneida, the Seneca, and the Tuscaroras. So our creation story is a little bit different from other, nations. So this, so I say that to say this. When I share the story, some people will say, "Oh, that's not the way I heard it." Well, that's because you heard it from another nation, another tribe of Native American Indians. So I just wanted to explain that. Now, it is said that a long time ago, everyone lived in Skyland. We lived there in Skyland, and life was good. Now, in Skyland, there was a chief and his wife, Sky Woman, and everyone lived in harmony with the Creator. And of course, you know who the Creator is. He who is from the beginning to the end, the end all and be all, God Almighty, as some refer to him, the Creator. And the creator really had put a tree in the very center of Skyland, which you would call the tree of life in your language. In Yaskure, it was a different language, different name. But the tree of life provided everything that the people needed. The seeds, the fruits, and the leaves on that tree were designed, were made to provide everything the people needed. So life was good. And the creator had said to them, eat and enjoy from this tree, but make sure you protect that tree. Did you have a question? Did you want me to stop, Grandma Polly?
Yes. I don't want you to give them the whole story. I was referring
Okay,
to
good.
the real life Turtle Island. North Carolina. That's what I was referring to.
Okay. Okay, and it's not just North Carolina,
Yes.
it's all of North America. Right, we call where we live Turtle Island. And the story actually tells why we call it Turtle Island. But native people throughout North America and in Canada is included. We don't say, well, we live in North America or the United States. We say we live on Turtle Island. And the story explains why we call it Turtle Island, how we came to be from up Skyland to here in North America, Turtle Island. So you'll have to read the book to find out exactly how that transition came about and why. But as Native people, Indigenous people, and you'll see this in any tribe we call where we live Turtle Island.
Okay, yeah, that's nah. Don't that want to tell the story? They got to buy the book. I was gonna let you tell the story. That's what I
Exactly.
wanted to know about the Turtle Island part. I've read the book, guys. It's awesome. It is really awesome. And we came from a culture, and I know you've probably heard this before, Ramona, especially amongst the African American families. We'll hear my grandmother said that her dad was Indian or part Indian, or her mom was Indian, part Indian. But a lot of those things are not on record. If someone wanted to go back and really try to trace that, to find out, their real history, what are some of the things they would need to do that?
That's a great question, also. First off, every nation, every tribe has their own rows, their records of family members, last names, and family members all the way through their lineage. So you would, whichever nation you think your family came from, just the area might give you a clue as to what nation you should be investigating. And go to that nation, go online even, because it's usually all online, and you can see the rows, the lineage records, the rows, ROLLS, rows that have the names of your grandparents, your great grandparents. I know on my father's side, for instance, the Cherokee side, my father's mother and her mother's name are on the dolls, DAWES, the dolls row. So um, it would be really easy and convenient for me to claim Cherokee as my nation, but you traditionally go by your mother's side. So that's why I'm enrolled in the
Hmm.
Tuscarora Nation because my mother is Tuscarora. But I actually have my father's mother and his grandmother, her mother's names are on the Cherokee Dolls Row. So that's how I know the authenticity of the stories in my family about being Cherokee because her name's on the rows. I know relatives that are like from the little snowbird area of the Cherokee Reservation up in western North Carolina. So it's that's how you would do it though. You would go to that nation, that tribe, and see the surnames on the rows and see if any of your family's names are on the records, the lineage record. Okay, and usually you can see this from the tribes themselves. The Mormons also kept very good records. You can go look at that. You can also go look at the census records to see if any of your family names are on the tribal um, um, census name.
Okay. Now you said it goes by the mother name. That's interesting.
That
Suppose the father was Indian, but the mother was of another culture, black, white, or whatever, then they would have to know the name of the father's mother. Is
well,
that correct?
yes and no. You're basically you're considered native if your mother is native. Okay,
Uh huh.
if the mother's native, you've heard those saying, mother, how's it go? Mother's baby, father's maybe.
Mother's baby,
Okay,
father's
you
baby.
always
Uh
know who
huh.
you came from, your mother. So most of our tribes,
Yes.
our nations are matrilineal. They go by the mother's side.
That is interesting. The culture is different when us in America, Africans American, Caucasians, or whoever they may be, you're determined who you are by the biological father. But then in your culture, it's by the mom. That's interesting.
Exactly.
We're so much alike, but then still so much different when it comes down to the culture. So that was real interesting, Ramona. Where you already told them a little bit about Turtle Island. We've shared, information on that, but I know what you're itching to get to. I know you just sitting over there itching, 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 because you preach to me all the time. Renee, you gotta eat healthy. Renee, you had your vegetables today. Now I'm gonna let you tell me a little bit about your cultural vegetable. Then we're going to go into your vegetable tower.
Well, pretty much every native family has grown up with gardens in the family. I know when I was growing up, my mom and dad did not have a garden, but my grandmothers on both sides had gardens. On my father's side, on my mother's side, they had gardens. And every little child, every grandchild loves being in that garden with your grandparents. I can remember sitting on the porch and shelling beans, snapping beans, husking, taking the husk off of the corn. It was just a way of life. We were an agricultural people that, grew gardens. And in the very olden days, way before my time, back in the 1700s and before, people hunted deer and still do to this day, but deer was their main meat, and then the vegetables that they grew in the garden, which were corn, beans, and squash. So, as I said, I grew up husking the corn, the snap peas, the beans, and squash. That was what the main staples were, and those three were called the three sisters because they grow together. You'll see a corn stalk, and then at the bottom of the corn stalk, you'll see the beans, and you'll see the squash growing in harmony together. They nurture each other as they grow, and they grow in a like a symbiotic relationship, a relationship that you know enhances each other. So they grow together. And that's called the Three Sisters. So that's what gardening consisted of mainly in native farms, native communities, the Three Sisters, and of course, hunting deer in this area, which is plentiful.
It's funny, see, I learned something else here today because I grew up where my grandparents had the garden and the farm and all that stuff. And I would always see the bean vines running up the cornstalk or, you know, and I always thought of it as being an intrusion. Why they planted them so close to where, the bean goes up the stalk. And here you are, you just educated me on something else. And I actually grew up in that environment, not understanding why things did the things that it did. So that is very interesting. And we done it so much. I don't want to shell no butter beans today. I don't want to snap no green beans. I don't want to do none of that. I just want to eat. After digging potatoes and breaking the corn off of the stalk and taking the shacks, that was work. It was real work. And most people today won't grow a garden because you have to get out there and, keep the weeds and stuff from taking over. But I understand that you have something that eliminates all.
Yes, I grow all my own food as a result of and just to give you a backstory, as a result of being diagnosed with breast cancer, I stopped eating meat, dairy, sugar, and eventually all processed foods. So I grow my own food on what's called a tower garden. So I grow my food in my house with no soil, no toil, no weeds, and no green thumb required. As you can see, you see that thumb? Look at that, y'all. It's brown. It's not green. Okay. So but I'm able to grow my food with no soil, no toil, no weeds, and no green thumb because I grow it on a tower garden. And as a result, I'm able to grow food year round. It's better than organic. It's no chemicals, no GMO, no pesticides or insecticides. It's all clean. No one has touched it. As a result, there are no recalls on any of my food. No E. coli breakouts or salmonella, none of that. Just pure, fresh produce that I grow year round in my kitchen on a tower garden that takes up the space of about a chair. And as a result, I grow everything. I grow bib lettuce, gourmet lettuce, Swiss chard, rainbow chard, spinach, arugula, basil, salad mix, dino kale, curly kale, you name it. I grow it and I eat it. And I absolutely eradicated cancer, not with surgery or chemotherapy, which is what the doctor told me I needed, but with the foods I eat.
Now, Ramona, all those things that you named, with those
Right,
tower gardens, Ramona is on me all the time. You need to get a garden and you need to put it in the house and you need to do this. And that. Ramona, when I be sitting on the phone, yeah, Ramona, I'm gonna get one eventually, Ramona, and that's all good. But with the healthy eating and just hearing you describe that, going to the grocery stores and stuff where we buy the apples and all this other stuff. I usually bring my home and wash them in a little bit of vinegar water because it helps to remove the wax and all that other stuff that's on it. But when you're growing them naturally, you don't get all of that.
right.
And to hear you say that changing your eating has helped you to heal from the cancer that was in your body, that is just amazing. That is awesomely amazing. Whew. If someone wanted to get one of these tower gardens, how can they get it? How would they go about that?
Well, they can call me up and I'll definitely help them to get a tower garden. And I'll give my phone number if you want me to right now. My number's not private. You
Yes.
can look my name up on Google. Okay, so my phone number is 704 779 8632. And also, if you would put that in the chat for people also, 704 779 8632, that would be really helpful. But you can call me and I'll be glad to show you how you can eat more fruits and vegetables, how you can be healthier without prescriptions. That's it. Thank you. Without any chemicals, without any medication. I am not on any medication. I'm 69 at this point. Never had to have the surgery that the doctor said I had to have. Didn't have to have the chemotherapy. I let food be my medicine and let my medicine be my food. And you can totally prevent cancer, diabetes, heart problems, any disease that's out there. You can prevent it or or reverse it by changing what you eat, which is why I always say nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. I don't care how good that other stuff is, it's not as good as healthy feels.
That is awesome. I remember you sharing that story with me. And I was amazed because I've known so many people throughout time who have lost their lives to cancer. So I lost a brother to diabetes. So with the diabetes, cancer, all these other ailments that today even young people are battling, and what we used to call old people's disease.
Mhm.
A lot of it is in our food. A lot of it is the way the food is processed. And a healthy life starts with the change that we make in our diets. I strongly believe that. Do I listen to it all the time? Nah, because I like the shrimp, girl. I don't know if I could give that up. Just being real, Ramona. I don't know if I can give that up, but when it could go ahead, go ahead.
Well, the great thing about going whole foods, plant based, is that you give up the taste of that that's not good for you for the same taste of that which is good for you. I'm telling you what, we can take oyster mushrooms and make shrimp that tastes just like shrimp that you're eating that's bad for you. This is made out of oyster, it's bad for you because of the mercury in the water. Whereas we take the oyster
Hmm.
mushrooms and put the same seasoning on it because it's really the seasoning that you like and the texture. That same texture is with the oyster mushroom, the seasoning. You would think you're eating shrimp. Yeah, I had just
Now,
recently, I
see,
had
I love
shrimp and
mushrooms.
grits. I had shrimp and grits, and it was all plant based. Okay. And
Wow.
so, as a result, you're eating healthy. You're eating the flavors and things that you like, but you're eating the plant-based version of it. So it's healthy for you. And when you take life into your body, you're going to reap life. You take death into your body, food that was picked 2 weeks before it was ripe. When they pick it, it then starts to decay. It's dead. So you're taking death into your body and you're expecting life. That's not logical. Okay. You want life, you have to take life into
Hmm.
your body.
I never looked at food that way. And what you just said, when it's on the vine or wherever it's alive. But then once you remove it from that and you purchase it 2, 3 weeks later, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna put a mental note right there. Wayne says, and you look great too, Ramona. Hey, Wayne.
That shows you how fast your food grows. In the first picture, you have seedlings that are like, a week old or so, and they're in the tower garden. The next picture is 4 weeks later. From putting your seedlings in to 4 weeks, you're eating off of the tower garden. And then the next picture is 9 weeks. And at that point, you're sharing it with your neighbors because you have so much. So that's the first week, 4 weeks, and 9 weeks. In 4 weeks from putting your seedlings or your seeds in, you are eating off of the tower garden. And in 6 to 9 weeks, you're sharing it with your neighbors.
And if I'm looking at that, Ramona, it's not just one type of plant that's growing out of that garden. You have several different plants growing at the same time.
Exactly. So you're growing all those things, like I said, at the same time. You're growing Bibb lettuce, romaine lettuce, Swiss chard, rainbow chard, dino kale, curly kale. You're growing basil, oregano. You're growing arugula, gourmet lettuce, your mint, your lemon balm. You're growing tomatoes, cantaloupes, cucumbers, watermelon, eggplant, you name it, collard greens, anything it's not a root vegetable you can grow on a tower garden.
Wow. So if someone was to purchase that garden, if someone was to purchase that garden, would they have options in choosing their seeds or do the seeds come, randomly with them?
Great question again. And the answer is both. When you get the tower garden, it comes with everything. The inside tower garden comes with the lights, it comes with the seeds, it comes with the mineral blend. There are no chemicals, it's just the minerals that should be in the dirt, but usually the dirt is depleted. It's with the liquid minerals that you put in the water so that your plants are getting the nutrients that they need, and you're also getting the nutrients you need from eating those plants. So everything comes with it. So all the things I named, mainly all the greens and everything come with it. But if you want the cantaloupe, the watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, then you buy those seeds from any place you want just so the seeds are non-GMO. You can get them anywhere from Dollar Tree, four for $1, to Lowe's, to Home Depot, to your family community nursery, and get any seeds you want just so they're non-GMO seeds.
Okay, that is awesome. And we're going to put a pin right there for a second because we have to thank our sponsors. We would not be here without our sponsors. So we're going to give them a quick thank you and we'll be right back.
Grandma Polly and the Big Rig Kids would love to extend our deepest gratitude, recognizing and thanking our sponsors and supporters for their patronage in supporting us. Simone Enterprises and Entertainment Productions Company, the Simone Family Foundation 501c3, Motherly Music Movement, WITS Writer in the Spirit, TNT Real Estate Team, and KJ Multimedia Solutions. We'd be remiss if we didn't also thank Metropolitan Library, who we held the auditions for the Big Rig Kids play, and Mount Gilead United Methodist Church, and also Nash Road Church of God for providing a space for Grandma Polly and the Big Rig Kids play coming in April. Details to come. Thank you. Your generosity and your belief in our mission have fueled our efforts and inspired us to reach new heights. If you'd like to learn how to become a BRK sponsor or a faithful follower, contact our Facebook page at Conversations with Grandma Polly, or also contact us at 980-833-9307.
Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. And if anyone out there want to jump on the sponsor bandwagon, y'all feel free to reach out to us, inbox us, give us a call, email us. We're here. But we're gonna jump back to Ramona real quick because we're running out of time. Ramona, we want to thank you so much for being here this evening. You are such a beautiful lady and such a wonderful friend. Do you have any closing remarks?
I guess my closing remarks are this. Come to look at the you can go on the YouTube, or well, you can go on the internet and see powwows are in your state, in your city, in your area. And come to a powwow. Come and enjoy immersing yourself in Native American Indian culture. And then secondly, eat more fruits and vegetables. Stay away from the processed junk. Eat more fruits and vegetables, and preferably fruits and vegetables that you grow yourself, and more beans, lentils, and legumes. And you will live a healthier life. As you take life in, you'll reap abundant life.
Thank you once again. Thank you, Miss Ramona. Thank our audience for joining us tonight. We really want to we appreciate you guys, and we really want to thank you for joining us tonight. And we have a few faithful ones out there who's here every week when we're here, and we really do appreciate you guys. Look forward to things that's coming up because we're getting ready to go into the holidays, and we're gonna have more giveaways. And next week, Kenny, you're giving away another logo. Say it because right now I'm stuck.
Animated logo sting.
There you go. He will animate your logo for you, but you have to be here on time. You have to watch the whole show. You have to share it, tell a friend about it, invite your friends because we have some interesting things coming up. And with that being said, peace out. We love you guys. See you next week. Same time, same place.